Good everybody, to Guy here. Today I want us to look at something very important. As I always say, if you're coming to your charts and you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you are simply gambling. You need to know exactly what you're looking for way before you even come to your charts. And guys, honestly, I've taken my time to study the reasons why most people don't make it in this industry, because we already know that it's only 5% of people who are making it in this industry. And my conclusions are the charts or prices are like animals drinking water in a river, okay? And we are like lions. And if lions just target any random animals from the different kinds of animals that are drinking from a river, they are hardly gonna catch any. Okay, so for lion to actually catch animals, what do? They actually target the most vulnerable animals. For example, if there is a crippled animal, if there is a newborn baby, or if they chase and one gets isolated, they are gonna go for those that are vulnerable. Why? Because they are easy catches. So the key point here is easy catch. Okay, so even for us, we must apply the very same method. We need to have a single setup that we are actually pursuing, and it must be one of the most easiest setups that makes sense to us. Remember, there are many setups out there, but you need one that resonates well with you, one that you'll be able to master and understand as much as you understand your mobile device. Okay, you don't need this industry to be complicated. You need it to be flawless. You need to come every day and take one execution. Okay, as Bruce Lee always says, he doesn't fear a person who has practiced 10,000 kicks. He only fears a person who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. So we need one setup that we will take 10,000 times without trying to actually understand 10,000 setups. So to make this industry so flawless and easy for ourselves, we need one setup, okay? One setup that we will be able to take 10,000 times. Okay, guys, so this video is going to be quite more interesting. It's going to be easy but interesting. I've decided to share a lot of things because these are the main things that I've realized most people don't understand. They think they understand, but whenever they come to the charts, they forget these things, and these are the most crucial things. Okay, so first of all, we will be going through market structure. It's very, very important to understand this. Okay, so secondly, we're gonna go through different kind of important candles. Okay, then we're gonna go to different kind of chart patterns. After that, we're gonna go to different kind of time frames. Guys, this one is very important because it gives you the daily bias. I've seen people trying to counter trend very strong moves, and that only leads to blowing your account. If you understand different time frames, you will be able to actually get more out of the market. Okay, and then we're gonna go to key levels. These are very important because they give you your entry points, okay, and your exit points. Okay, and then of course we will go to the trend continuation strategy, which is a step-by-step strategy, because guys, this one is the most easiest one, and that's where most people focus on. But there are very important things to understand before the strategy itself, because guys, every day I give you a step-by-step breakdown of the strategy, but still many don't understand it. Why? Because there are small particles that come in that people have to understand. So the first thing here is market structure. Market structure, guys, is very important. Why? Because prices don't move like this. Okay, I know when you are in a trade, you tend to think like it's gonna go 1,000 points, 1,000, 10,000 points. Okay, just because you are in it, that's just some false hope you give yourself. They never move like this. Okay, this is important to understand. No prices move like that. However, what prices do is they move like this if they are trending. Okay, and this is what we call a normal trend. There are other trends that do something like this, where they'll always come back in. And the key point is here, you see that when they go down, they make this lower low. Okay, so on this one, they come back to the lower low. It's still okay. Okay, why? Because our main idea here is the fact that they are not supposed to violate this one. Okay, sorry, they are not supposed to violate this one. Okay, so if they are going down, this lower high is not supposed to be violated. Okay, as they go, they'll make a lower low and a lower high. Okay, so when they break to the downside, yes, we expect them to pull back, but we don't expect them to violate the lower high. Why? Because they are making lower lows. And this is important to understand because I've seen a lot of people counter trending moves. Okay, this is something people tend to forget when they come to the market, and it's one of the most important things to actually understand. Okay, and the same applies to if they are going up, they will be doing something like this. Okay, making higher highs and higher lows. However, the main key here is they are not supposed to violate this one, okay? Because this is actually a higher low. They are not supposed to violate these regions when they go up, okay? So these areas must remain intact. In the event where they tend to do something like this, okay, this means everything has changed. The bias has changed, okay? Why? Because we just got a break-in structure. We tend to call this a break-in structure. Why? Because they have broken what? They are going up. They make higher lows, and in this event here, they broke this one. So the moment they break this one, it changes everything. What do we expect now? A lower high, okay? Because this is a high, however, it's lower than this one, okay? So we don't expect them to break this level, okay? So once you know this, everything should be flawless, okay? This is the foundation of understanding everything. You will see the importance of market structure when we come to different time frames, okay? This is very important for all of us to understand, and I'm gonna show you this. It's very, very important. Okay, number 2, let's come to the different kind of candles, okay? Different kind of candles. Okay, there are 3 different kind of candlestick pattern that we use. You can read the Japanese candlestick book, but it's okay. I'm gonna share with you all these candles. There are 3 kind of candlestick pattern. We have chart patterns and we have candlestick patterns, okay? So with candlestick patterns, there are 3 that I want you to understand. The first one is where we have a red candle going down, okay? Let's say in this case, prices have been falling heavily, and all of a sudden they give you a super big candle going down very, very fast, okay? Okay, and then this one is actually followed by a green candle that does something like this, okay? This is what I call RR, okay? These are candlesticks that have been there for a long, long time, okay? In this case, guys, one thing you must understand is prices have been falling heavily, and then all of a sudden they give you a super big one going down, followed immediately by a super big one coming back up. If they give you this, it's over, okay? This move is mostly gonna go up, and you'll understand this because I need you to also know where to take these things, not just to understand. Hence, guys, I'm sharing all these things with you. Okay, so if these candles are at a crucial level, let's just say, for instance, this is our crucial level and they happen here, they just come and do this, you can take this one boldly up, provided it aligns with your directional bias, of which I'm going to talk about when I talk about the strategy. Okay, so this is important to know. Let me show you this on the charts quite quick. Okay, let me show you this on the charts quite quick. You see, this move has been going up. All of a sudden, they give you, you see, it has been going up, okay? And we have a variety of this candle. It has been going up, and all of a sudden, they give you this big candle going up, followed immediately by this candle going down. So this is a hourly time frame. So they take 1 hour to go up. People go in, buying heavily, and then the next hour closes down and it's almost the same size as this candle. This is what we call what? A railroad track. This move is going down. Okay, so I want you to understand these candles. Right now, we are not talking about the move itself. We are just talking about the candles. Okay, and then again, this candle shows up here again. You see, this move has pulled back. Okay, has pulled back. Remember what we have been saying. Prices move, they pull back. Okay, like they move, they pull back, they move, they pull back, they continue. So look at this right here. Okay, this is a pullback, right? Market structure. And they give you a very big candle going down, which is immediately followed by a big candle going up. This is a railroad track, okay? This is a railroad track. I'm not talking about taking it right now because we're still going to talk about that when we talk about the levels. Right now, I just want you to understand this candle and write it down. It's very, very important because I'm going to show you this, the levels and where you can take this candlestick pattern in alignment with the daily bias. Okay, so let's go back. A second candle I want you to understand is where, let's say, prices in this case again have been going down, and all of a sudden they give you a red one. Remember, they have been going down, right? They give you this red one. it can be followed by a red one again, okay? It doesn't matter. This one can have a wick. It doesn't matter. As long as now it's an inside candle like this. And then all of a sudden, it's now followed by what? It's now followed by this big green candle over here, okay? If you find this at a very important key level, this tells you that you can take it, okay? You can take it. Say for instance, it happens at a key level, okay? And it's in alignment with our daily bias. You can take this setup, okay? Because in this case here, they didn't give you a chart pattern, but they gave you a candlestick pattern. Okay, let's go back and try to find these ones, okay? Let's go back and try to identify these ones. Okay, let's just look here. You see, let's say prices have been going up, and then all of a sudden they have been going up. Everybody is going up, and then all of a sudden they give you this big candle going up. People are buying, followed by this one, which now closes as this inside small one. But you wouldn't see that it's an inside small one. That's why we need patience, okay? If you are patient enough and wait for the following candle, this is an hourly time frame, so this takes 3 hours to build. If you see this one, this is assurance. If it's happening at the right place, it's assurance that they are gonna continue going in that direction, okay? Okay, you must understand this one. In my example, I showed you one that was low. In this case, however, I'm showing you one that is up, okay? So you must understand these ones. Just like here again, just look here. If you understand market structure, we just spoke about these things. Prices go, they pull back. So they've just pulled back, and then all of a sudden they give you this one, followed by this one, then this big one. You see, these three candlesticks are very powerful. This shows it's gonna go up. And sometimes some people might think that this is just a small move. Guys, this is not a small move. It's 120 pips, okay? But when they happen at the right place, you can even get more. But I want you to understand the significance of these candlestick patterns, okay? Not chart patterns, candlesticks pattern, okay? So let's say again, another and last one. Let's say prices have been going down, okay? Okay, and then when prices have been going down, let's say all of a sudden they give you a candle like this, okay? Now in this case, it's a small one, okay? Prices have been going down, and then all of a sudden they give you a small red one, followed immediately by a huge green one, okay? And this is of course happening at a key level, which is in alignment with our daily bias. This is something you can take positively. Why? Because this candlestick pattern shows something significant, okay? So if we were to go to our charts again and we look at this one here, you can see now that this move has been going up and up and up. And then all of a sudden, you see, they give you this one. When you look at it, you'll think it's big, but only if you are impatient. If you are patient enough and you wait for the following one, then now you can see, oh, they gave an engulfing one, okay? So this is very, very powerful as well, okay? This is very, very powerful as well, okay? So I want you to keep these candlesticks in mind because they are very, very crucial. Now let's talk about chart patterns. We have many different kind of chart patterns, okay? Let's say you can have something like this, okay? Don't mind my drawing. You can have something like this, okay? Something like this, where this is simply a rectangle, okay? This is simply a rectangle, okay? So with this, you simply just put a line, and most people get confused because some days it will do something like this. Let me just show you. Some days, let's say they've come from down and all of a sudden they start doing something like this. They can break a little bit. You don't mind about that, okay? You need a real break, and I'm going to show you a small trick here, okay? Let's say they keep doing something like this, and then all of a sudden they break out here. So you have two options when it comes to this. The first thing is this breakout must happen with a super big engulfing candle. I just showed you what an engulfing candle is, okay? It must be a very big candle. So guys, there are two things you can do in this case, okay? You can either take this candle or you can wait for a retest because mostly it will break up, go, then come back. and then continue. So the safest one is this one, where you take the continuation. But guys, remember, we are not talking about taking anything here right now. We are just talking about understanding this, okay? You need to understand where they give you patterns, where they play. You must be patient enough to wait, okay? Because inside here, you won't even know you are in a pattern until they've built the pattern. And this is why most people think in hindsight, this is so easy and it's so visible in hindsight. Everybody can see it in hindsight because it is so visible. The problem is when you are inside here, you won't see it. So we always advocate for patience. Be patient until you have seen what's happening. Hence, if you remember in the beginning, I said lions want the most vulnerable animals. So you have to wait for the most vulnerable one, or you have to wait for one that gets isolated, okay? So you need to put the advantages on your side. How do you do that? By sitting on your hands, by being patient. If you don't understand what's happening, you don't have to chase prices. You just have to wait until a pattern is built. When there is a pattern, that's when you'll know, oh, that this is what I take. But guys, remember, I just want you to understand these things. I'm not talking about taking them yet, okay? I just want you to understand them, okay? So the same applies here. It can come and break to the downside. So it doesn't matter. Just because it comes from the downside like this, it doesn't mean the breakout is going to continue. No, it can break out in either side. Remember, there are people with advantages who are actually seeing the amount of orders on either side, okay? And we don't see that. So if there's a lot more here, they will break to the downside, okay? But again, I told you the best way is you can take this one, but it must be the biggest candle. I'll show you this on the charts, okay? It must be the biggest candle, or else the safest way is to wait for a retest to take it after the retest, okay? Sometimes you'll see a pattern like a head and shoulder, okay? Where this is a shoulder, this is a head, and this is a shoulder, and we have a neckline. People want to be chasing this. Let's say prices have been going up for a while now. Everybody wants to be chasing, and most of the time this move is going to be the most aggressive one. Why? Because they want everybody to buy just before they reverse. And then again here we need the biggest candle. You'll find there are many different head and shoulders, ascending, descending, okay? So in simple terms, what I can tell you is if you come here, I have put, this is the playbook that I use myself, okay? This is the playbook that I use myself. It's in the description, okay? Okay? On this second one, if you download this second one, I have put a lot of patterns here. I have put all the patterns you'll ever need with their variations, because if we're talking about the head and shoulder, you find that there are more than 6 different types of head and shoulder. You must understand them, okay? So here you get all the shoulders plus full strategies. So here there are 3 PDFs. I will upload another one tomorrow because I've been working on another one, okay? So tomorrow you can come and download it. This is lifetime update. It will be available, okay, tomorrow. So guys, here this one has 2 different kind of strategies, okay, for currencies, metals, metals, and mostly crypto, okay? This one has 1, but there are different kind of strategies in this one. So you can find more than 10. You actually find more than 10 different strategies here because of different kind of trends, okay? But the main strategy is 1, is the most explosive for indices. And this one here is the continuation one, okay? So I've been working on things like different time frames, and I've put everything here step by step, okay? So you can still come and get it here. But for those who have it already, this one has all the patterns you'll ever need, and please use them, okay? Use them. Okay, let's go back to other patterns. Another pattern that you are gonna find, which is my favorite, is a triangle, okay? Sometimes you'll find prices doing something like this. This is a triangle. You'll find them playing inside this triangle. Okay, let's say they've came from down again heavily, okay? So this doesn't mean it's gonna break out. You don't know what's gonna happen. You just wait, okay? If it breaks out with a big candle here, you can take it, or again, as I said, you can wait for a retest and take it after the retest. And I repeat, guys, the retest is the most safest one. However, it's not gonna happen always, okay? So another one, which is again my favorite, is this one. I love this one. You see? Then it starts doing something like this. This one mostly is going to break to the downside. So when you get this one, mostly you know what's going to happen, okay? okay, where they, okay, sorry, let's say they've just been coming from down, 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 and all of a sudden they start doing this and they start playing here. This one is mostly going to break to the downside. So again, you can take the biggest candle, or you can just wait for a retest for a continuation down. See, this is a half Batman. It's the one that I just showed you now, where they are going down, then they make a peak, then they start playing, and then they break out. The key is there must be a super big candle, which is this one. So you can take it. If it's too far, you can wait for a retest. And in this case, of course, retest varies. But the good thing about the retest is after pulling back, they will give you an engulfing candle, which is a big candle. And that's the one you take, okay? The only time you're going to know that a retest has completed its job is when they give you a big candle after the retest. So this is a half Batman. They do this, then they start playing, and then they break out to the upside. This one, when it happens, mostly you know where it's going to break to, okay? So let's proceed. We have rectangles, but again, this is also a half Batman, okay? Because you can see prices go down, down, down. They make this peak, then they come and start playing here. They start playing, and then this must be the big candle that breaks out. So again, I told you, you can take this one or wait for a retest. How are you going to know that a retest is done? Is when they give you an engulfing candle. An engulfing candle is a big candle, okay? It's bigger than the recent candles. So you can see this is a bigger one. You take it, you put your stops down. This move is continuing, okay? And then again, some days you will have an M pattern. I only love an M pattern if it pulls back, okay? So here's an M pattern. This is simply an M. They've been going up and up and up. Then all of a sudden they say, oh, they push people up and they say, no, we are not going to go up. We are done, okay? Because this is where people will be buying. And again, when they come here, people are going to be buying because people will see this as this pullback, okay? So when people buy, they trap them and then they reverse direction. So this is an M. You can still get a double top and stuff, okay? These are the patterns I want you to understand. Okay, now this is a head and shoulder. You see, prices have been going up. They make this. This is the most aggressive one. Hence, you see that this one is the biggest one, okay? It goes high. And then all of a sudden, they make a neckline. All of a sudden, they come and bounce on it. You must be patient. How do you know this is going to form? You don't take anything until it forms. If you are long, you wait for them. Once they give a pattern and break to the downside, that's where you close. Okay, why? Because this shows it's reversing. Okay, so I told you the breakout one must be super big. If you compare it with this with the candles from this last push, this one is the super big one. Okay, so this is how you're gonna know them. Okay, this is how you're gonna know them. Okay, this is how you're gonna know them. Okay, let's continue. You see, now they go up, 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 all of a sudden up, 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 up. Then they start playing, and then this is a half Batman peak. They start playing. This one, you know where it's gonna break out to. It goes down, okay? Okay, and guys, this is a super big move. I know people might think that this is a small move. This is 228, okay? So it's a big move. You see again, this is where they are going up. Now they pull back. Remember what we talked about, market structure, right? Now they are coming down. It's a pullback. All of a sudden, they start playing after this peak. So they are saying we made a peak. We are no longer going down. Everybody who went down is trapped. We are reversing. And I told you, this must be the biggest one, okay? If you are willing to let it go, it's okay. You can take this one after the engulfing one, okay? So these are the patterns. These are the patterns you need to understand, okay? These are the patterns you need to understand. So guys, I believe now you understand market structure. You understand important candlesticks. You understand patterns, which are chart patterns, and I've just explained them. And remember, guys, I'm sharing all these things because I want you to understand this whole strategy here, of which again I've just showed you that I've put everything in a PDF format here. Okay, here you have more than this is 2 strategy. Here you have almost 10 strategies. Here you have here it's 1 strategy. So guys, you can see over 13 strategies. But remember what I said, we are like lions. You only need one out of all these ones. Find one which is suitable for you, one that you'll understand. Master it. Take the whole year to master it, okay? Because honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you are new to this industry, it's gonna take you time to master all these things, okay? And I will be honest with you. you're gonna take too long to master just one important thing or to learn one important thing, which is actually the fact that you need to master one setup, understand it, avoid all the noises, and take only your setup when it appears. Remember the example I used of lions. It's very, very, very important, okay? Because you need to only take your own setup, okay, which is more reasonable and understandable to you, okay? We need the easiest catch, just like lions, okay? So now you have over 13 strategies, and every time I put something, I told you since last year I've been working on something long-term fundamentals, but I haven't shared it yet because I wait to see consistency before I share anything with you. I'm not just gonna bring something that hasn't given me consistency to people, okay? Okay, now let's talk about time frames, okay? Time frames are very important. As I said, most people tend to counter trend things that are not supposed to be counter trending because they don't understand the significance of different time frames. Guys, time frames are really, really, really important, okay? When we look at the monthly time frame and the weekly time frame, we're going to see almost the same thing. This is where we're going to see key supports and key resistances, okay? Key supports and resistances. I'll show you an example right away, okay? If we come to our chart and we head over to oil, okay? If you look at oil on a monthly time frame, you will realize that, as I said, this is going to show you key supports and key resistances. If you look at the monthly, you'll realize that, okay, as you can see, we are in a big triangle that actually started building 3 years ago. As you can see, this triangle actually started in 2021 and it went 2022, 2023 and 2024. Okay, now we are in 2025. So we can see key supports and key resistances, which is why at the beginning of this year, yes, we had oil actually going up crazily. But when you look at a monthly time frame, you can just see that, oh, we have this candle over here. And this candle actually gave us a pin, okay? So that's what you can see, okay? However, if we go to a weekly time frame, you're going to see the same thing, but this time around, you're going to see clear touches. You're going to see clear touches, okay? Let me just put my touches up to here, okay? So when we zoom this thing up, you'll realize that, as I said, the monthly and the weekly is going to give us key supports and key resistances. Remember, we are using this to build up the strategy, okay? So we want to understand things from the bigger picture so that we don't counter trend when we are not supposed to counter trend. That's why at the beginning of this year, oil went up heavily. But if you look at it, guys, you'll just realize that, oh, what it was actually doing was it came and bounced over here, and that's when it started collapsing, okay? So we did understand that there might be a reaction over here. For somebody who didn't look at this, they might have bought and kept buying just because oil was going up, because they didn't understand the bigger picture. So the monthly and the weekly are actually going to give you what is major support and major resistances. The same applies to here. For somebody who sold heavily here, guys, if you understand the big picture, yes, of course, we were expecting some form of a reaction over here, okay? So now, let's go back to other time frames. When we look at the daily, this is where now we're gonna have a bias, okay? Because one thing I want you to understand and never forget is that moves on a daily time frame are actually moved by moves on a 4-hour time frame, which is a weekly, and moves on a 4-hour time frame are moved by moves on a daily time frame, which is the monthly move. For example, we have 3 types of trend, okay? We have major trends, which can be portrayed like this. This is just a major trend. But inside a major trend, we have other small parts of a trend or other small forms of a trend. Here we can have something like this. We can have something like this, okay? And here we can have something like this, which is a form of a minor or intermediate. Not minor, intermediate, okay? So what you realize is on a bigger time frame, we have the overall trend, we have the major trend, okay, the big direction, which is what investors who are doing long-term investments actually look for. Okay, for us, we use the intermediate, which is this one. Okay, however, it doesn't end there. The intermediate does what? It drives the short term trend, which is an intermediate. So when you look at this here, there is another trend inside this move here, and even here we have minor trends pulling back here. Even here we have minor trends, okay, minor trends here, and then here we have minor trends. So if you look at this, we have the major, we have the intermediate, and then here we have the minor. Okay, minor, this is major. Okay, so you must understand that the move that we see every day, the one that we execute on a daily basis, okay, if you're an intraday guy, you need to know that your move is actually moved, or it's actually determined by the move on a 4-hour time frame, which is on a weekly basis. And the move on a weekly basis, it's actually determined by the move on a daily time frame, which is on a monthly basis. Okay, and the monthly and the weekly, since we are not doing long-term investment, this is where we get major support and major resistances. Okay, so with this said, if we come to our charts, if we say, for instance, now we're going to go to a daily, we still understand that, oh yes, we are inside a bigger triangle, and that is what is going to determine the moves that we're going to have. Hence why they came and reacted over here. Okay, so if you were buying here, hoping to hold and hold for months, you are aware that that might not happen, simply because we are in a triangle and there is gonna mostly be a sort of a reaction somewhere around here. Okay, so on this one, we don't see the monthly clearer, because we are consolidating, we are ranging, we are not trending. Okay, but for instance, let's look at something that is trending. You look here, what we're gonna see here is a month. So between these lines, it's a month. Okay, so you can clearly see that this month went up. Okay, this month went up, this month went up. Okay, they never violated the law of this month, so there is no reason to actually counter trend and hold your counter trend for weeks or what, because the overall move is going up. Okay, and this is how it continue going, okay, from here, because some days or some periods it will just be ranging. We have to understand that markets trend and range, trend and range, trend and range, trend and range. Okay, so those are the things that we understand. Okay, so if you understand from here again, that's where they start doing what? That's where they start trending up again. So guys, if you look at the bigger trend, it's up. Okay, the bigger trend is up, maybe up until this point over here where they broke here. That's where now we can expect something to go down, but again, moves can fail. So in this case here, they started doing what? They started continuing. Okay, this one closed down, but there was no follow through, because we want to see if there's a follow through. There was no follow through. It turned out to be a consolidation. Okay, and then we started going up and up again. So at this point here, there's no valid reason for a counter trend holding for the whole month, because at this point here, the move is still up. So when you look at the daily, it's going to show you the monthly buyers, and you don't want to counter trend these things. Okay, you don't want to counter trend. However, because this is like a bigger time frame, and there's going to be many opportunities up and down, we do take short-term executions on this one, so we can counter trade maybe some other days when they are pulling back. Okay, but we need to know that the overall move in this case is up. And as I said, guys, one thing you need to know at the end of the day is that the major is gonna move the smaller ones. In other words, the daily is gonna move the weekly, the weekly is gonna move the daily. Okay, I'll show you that. That's what we are actually going to. And that's the most important thing. So now, when we go to the 4-hour time frame, what are we going to see? We're going to see the weekly. Okay, 4-hour time frame shows you the weekly move, and this is my favorite. I use this every day. Why? Because it's very crucial to understand now that the 4 hour will give you the weekly. Okay, so every time we switch to a 4 hour, we see the weekly, and that's what is my favorite. Okay, so if we were to come to a 4 hour on oil, this week actually did something fascinating. Okay, this week, if you look at it here, it went up. Okay, so this week followed all these weeks that were going up. So this were actually easy executions. Why? Because we knew we were in a triangle, but the moves were up. I'm going to show you how to actually take these things, because today I want to show you how to stop counter trading. Okay, because a strategy has a lot of elements inside. It's like a puzzle. It has many puzzle pieces. Yes, we try to share easy things, but for long-term consistency, it's important to understand all these various patterns or these variable pieces of a puzzle. Okay, so if you look at this week here, this is where things started changing. First of all, market structure. We spoke about structure, right? Yes. You see, they break this low, which is the low of this week. Okay, so they broke it, then they started going all the way down. Okay, and then this one came and closed here, this one came and closed here, and this one, of course, it closes somewhere here. Okay, so one thing I want you to all understand is this is gonna move. We are looking for our executions, trend days on a daily basis. We use an hourly time frame to see where if we got a trend day or something like that. You know our strategy. Okay, we are intraday guys. We take day executions on daily basis. Okay, but we must know that even if it's like that, our moves are still moved by the bigger time frames. Okay, so this is what I want people to understand. Don't completely counter trade a long-term time frame. Okay, in other words, you see, this move is going down, and every time it goes down, there's one important thing to understand. This week had a low which was violated here. Then this week made a low. Okay, even though they violated it, yes, they might pull back, but the bottom line is they violated it. Okay, and the following week again has a low. Yes, it's violated here. Okay, but they can be pullbacks. Okay, and this week had a low, and it's violated again. Okay, it's violated again. Remember our strategy. Okay, let me just remind you something before we even go forward, because it's important. Remember, for our strategy, we look for okay, let me show you where we had something. Okay, we look for a trend day, something like that has trended and broken the low. Then we look for a pullback for a continuation down, right? Yes. Okay, that's what we look for. So it's the same thing we look for on a bigger time frame. So even on a week, we look for a week that went down, trended. Okay, so this week trended because it violated the low of the previous week, right? Yes, that's so important. Okay, remember, the bigger time frames move the smaller time frames. Okay, so that's important to understand. Okay, so this week, yes, did qualify. So if it qualifies to be a trending week, what are we going to do the following week? We're going to look for a pullback to a key level again, so that we can get a continuation. The same thing we look for each and every day is the same thing we look for on a bigger time frame. Okay, so when a weekly and an intraday chart align and move together into one direction, that move is the best. Okay, so yes, of course, this week came here, it violated this week, so we are looking for a retest to a key level. So every week has a high, a closing price, and this, I'll talk about this when I talk about the levels. But what I want you to understand is, as you can see, this is what happens on a week. All right, this week is going to influence the moves on a daily basis. Okay, it's going to influence the move on a daily basis. Okay, so we look for a week that trended, then the following week we look for a pullback, then continuation in line with the move of that week up, unless, guys, of course, this week has a high. If this high is then violated, then market structure kicks in automatically. Then we might be looking for a move to the upside. We just want to make sure it didn't fail. Okay, so I believe now we have dealt with time frames, but there's one last thing to explain. There's a 15-minute, 5-minute, and a 1-minute. These time frames, in short, will give you 1 and 2. This is where we will be taking our entries. Okay, so this is where you're going to see the important candlesticks, and that's where you're going to see the patterns, chart patterns, of which we have explained today. Okay, so mostly we look for that on these smaller time frames for our executions. So now we have just dealt with time frames. Let's go to levels before we can come to looking for executions on a daily basis. Okay, before we can do that. And as I said, guys, a reminder, I will be uploading another PDF probably tomorrow late, which will have the time frames and the step-by-step guides. Okay, the step-by-step guide. So if you don't have it, you can come and download it tomorrow. Okay, everybody, now I want us to talk about the levels. The levels are very important, and you need to know that when we come to a chart every single day, we are looking for roughly 5 levels, which is yesterday's high and low, yesterday's closing price, support and resistance. So these are the ones we look for each and every day. However, these other ones are also highly important, which are the monthly's high and low and the weekly's high and low. Remember, we spoke about different kind of time frames, and now we know that the bigger time frames will move the smaller time frames. Okay, the major move will move them, the intermediate move, and the intermediate one will move the mini one, which is actually the minor trend. Okay, so with that understanding, now we are going back to our charts. But before we do that, I want us to explain something. This is a level. It doesn't matter if it's the high, the low, or the closing price. Okay, the most important thing for us to understand is how or what are they doing at this level? How are they treating this level? Okay, in respect to the previous day. That's very important. Okay, so if this is the high, okay, let's say they just broke the high. Let me bring this. Let's say this is the previous day. And guys, please pay close attention to this, because if there's something I want everybody to understand, it's this. Okay, okay, let's now say okay, it's fine. Let's say this is the previous day. Okay, and prices moved and closed maybe here. So that simply means that here we're gonna get what we call the closing price. Okay, we're gonna get the closing price here. Okay, okay, it's fine. We're gonna get the closing price here, which is this closing price. Okay, and then of course, guys, the high is gonna be here. Let's just say this denotes the high. Okay, this denotes the high. So because prices actually did this, okay, because now prices came and bounced here, we need to know, let's say the following day we are waiting for a pullback so that we can get a continuation up. Okay, but all of a sudden they do something like this. They go and now they place somewhere here. Okay, they break down and they come and they do this and they break down. Okay, so when you look at this, there's certain information you will derive from this. Okay, the first thing here you'll understand is, okay, these people are just consolidating. Okay, in other words, they just consolidated, let's say from here, okay, in between here, and then again they consolidated here. Okay, so you can see this move is not going up, so you can't force this move to go up. Okay, more especially when now they've bounced on yesterday's high. When they've bounced on yesterday's high, you can't force this move to go up. What do you do in this case? You go down. Okay, why? Because the most important thing is, what are they doing at these levels? Okay, you go down here, or else you can wait for it to retest and then collapse. Okay, but again, you can enter here, and when it goes down, you add another position. Okay, so it's about what are they doing at these levels. Okay, so if this is the high of yesterday, okay, how are they treating the high? This is very, very important. Okay, it's very, very important. You need to know how are they treating these levels. Okay, so let me go to the charts to show you something else. Okay, I took an execution on oil on Thursday, okay, and on Friday. Yes, on Thursday I took an execution. Yes. Okay, so I will explain this, the entire concept why I took the execution here later. But right now I need you to understand how they are treating the levels, okay? Because yes, of course, I know people were waiting for it to come down, then take a continuation up. But it's important to know they are not going up, that's okay. But what are they doing? Are they coming down to give a continuation? No, they are not. What are they doing? They are not coming down, okay? They are neither going up. They are holding the closing price. Why are they holding the closing price? Because they've planned something on the day, okay? So this is how they are actually holding the closing price, okay? They are now building, instead of giving us a pattern we understand, they're actually giving us a pattern on the closing price. You see, this communicates volume. Okay, you can't force it to go up when they are doing this to a level. Okay, so this is something important to know. Let's go to another one. Let's look at gold yesterday. Okay, gold yesterday. Okay, I just want to show you something very important. Okay, that people tend to misread or miscalculate. You see, this is the high. This is the high. What are they doing at this high? What are they doing at this high? This is a high. What are they doing at this high? Obviously, they are not going up. Okay, let's go to a 15-minute time frame. Okay, what are they doing? They are holding the high. They are holding the high. Okay, you're not just gonna sell or buy here because obviously this hasn't broken anything here. Okay, they are literally holding the high. If you are patient and waiting to see what happens, you can clearly come and draw a line here and say, okay, what do I see? I see a consolidation here, okay? And I see they've made something like a low somewhere here, okay? They made a low, and this is where they're making a high. Okay, you want to see what's gonna happen. Okay, they break this level here, but are they going? No, they are not. But remember, our key interest is this level over here, which is now the high of the day and the closing price, which is near. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this blue line because it's obviously gonna hide a lot of information. But look, what are they doing? They are not leaving the high. If you are on a 1 hour time frame, one thing you have to understand is what are they doing? You can clearly see these guys are not going up. They are not going up, okay? They are just playing all of a sudden 2 pins in golf. If you remember, this is what we explained when we spoke about the candlestick, but we are not there, okay? We are not looking at the entries. We are not looking at anything. We are just looking at how are they treating the level. They are at the high, but they are not going anywhere. Okay, they are not going anywhere. And the funny thing is, most people will force moves. You buy on this candle, they close you here. You still want to prove that you were right, you want to buy. Why? Okay, if you lose, ask yourself a question. I lost. I'm not gonna revenge. I want to now see things in a more clear way. But if you understand setups, and you're looking for a specific setup, you will now know that these people are not going anywhere. The next time they go somewhere is when they break this point here. However, this is too big for you to chase, okay? Now they made a lower low. Structure comes into play, okay? They've been making highs. All of a sudden, they came here, they broke this one. Let's go to a 1 hour time frame. Okay, 1 hour time frame. They make a high, they pull back, make a high, pull back. Remember, we have different kind of trends. Yes, they did this here, but remember, we have different kind of trends. Okay, they did this all along. They were making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, but all of a sudden they broke to the downside. Okay, they broke it. The moment they break here, it's a break in structure, and you know what's following, guys. You know what's following. The only thing following now, it's a pullback. Remember, we explained market structure. They pull back, that's when they collapse. So this was the most easiest execution. Let's go to GJ. Okay, GJ, I saw this one on Thursday. Okay, why? Because let's pay close attention. Yes, of course, we are looking for a pullback and a continuation up. But when you look at this with the understanding of the level, they now go up, they come down. Structure, yes, that's good. They go up, but now they're not following through. We are expecting them to go up, pull back, and do something like that. And we are still paying close attention to what's happening on the level, which is the high. What they do, they break structure. Right at the high, they break structure. You see, this is where market structure comes into play. Patience and market structure now. Remember, every single component I shared with you is important, okay? And we need to put it into application. So now they broke down. What is coming? Structure. What is coming? We are waiting for them to go up and then break down, okay? Look, remember this candlestick pattern where I told you one goes up, they give us an inside one, and then next there's a big one. I just shared this candlestick pattern. It's not a chart pattern, it's a candlestick pattern. Okay, I shared this with you. Okay, I shared this with you. Okay, unfortunately, guys, there's a lot of things that come into this. Okay, and when I discuss the strategy, I'm gonna show you why I sold here, even though we got a trending day here. Okay, I'm gonna share with you why I actually sold here, because I want you to understand all the small parts so that we can understand the bigger piece. Okay, so I sold on this candle here. You remember I showed you this, and not only that, this is now a double top. Okay, this is now a double top, and I told you I love double tops only when they pull back. You can just go to earlier on, that's what I explained. So I sold it here. Okay, and I put my stops above here, but usually you just have to count your stops. Okay, this is 21. Usually we use 25. Okay, but preferably I'll tell you again, if they are more safer at the high because of what? Market structure. So this thing went down, and I only closed it at the close of this candle here, and I'll explain why. Okay, but the most important thing to look at is how are they treating the levels. Okay, but guys, we have different kind of levels. You must look at how they're treating the monthly high or the weekly high and the weekly low. This is very, very important as well. Okay, but right now what I want everybody to understand is how are they treating the levels. Okay, let's look at this day here. If you understood the levels, let's look here. Sorry guys, let's look at GJ. Okay, on Tuesday, a beautiful one. Look at how they are treating the levels. They gave an inside day. I don't want to talk about an inside day because that's a different thing altogether. I don't want to confuse things. I want people to understand this, the parts by parts, so that everything becomes easy. Okay, so when you look at what they did here, what did they do? They are at the low. Are they going up? No. Are they going down? No. Okay, what do we have? You can just simply put your lines. We have a consolidation over here. Okay, we have a consolidation over here. Okay, they're going nowhere. That's where patience help. Okay, we have this consolidation and it's happening at a level. Sometimes you must be able to sit down on your hands and ask yourself questions. What are they doing at the level? Okay, so look, what do? They come and pin engulf. Oh guys, do you remember this? Do you remember these three candles? I told you this candle doesn't necessarily have to close above this one, but do you remember this? Remember I told you, if you see these things happening at a level, it's very important. If you see these things happening at a level, that's very important. I'm on a 15-minute time frame. You see that candlestick pattern is now happening at a level. Okay, at a level. So you can take this or you wait for structure. Okay, you wait for structure. They go down, they pull back, they go down. They pull back, they go down. We're expecting them to go up and pull back without breaking this recent high they made. Because the moment they break out down here, this becomes the high. What do? They're violated. They pull back. Now they go to the upside. Okay, so that's where structure comes in. But how are they specifically treating the level? Okay, you'll see this every day, guys. Every single day, you will see this. Okay, how are they treating the level? Okay, sorry. Look at this. Look at this. I just want you to start understanding the level, because as much as we are waiting for a retest and a continuation up, or a retest and a continuation down, we need to understand what are they doing at the levels. Okay, look at this. Okay, you might have taken it down, it's okay, but look, they are not breaking this high. Okay, and then they break to the downside. The following day they pull back to this level. They failed to break here. Now they are coming to this level. You remember the candlestick that we spoke about? They are at a level, they give you rara tracks. Okay, all these things, if you put them together, they're going to give you something huge. Huge, huge, huge. You see, this is what we spoke about earlier on. Okay, and it's very important when it's happening at a level. Okay, how are they treating the levels? Okay, understand that you got the best executions. Understand that now they're giving a pattern, a double top, where at a level they pull back to this closing price and then collapse with a big one. This thing is going down. Yesterday I took oil. Where is it? Yes, yesterday I took oil. Let me show you this. Okay, look at oil. We had news. Okay, we had news, and the best thing is to wait for news. Okay, so I was on a 5-minute time frame. When you look at this, guys, when you look at this, of course, this day they've broken down and now they've broken the high. Okay, but let's look at what they are doing at the high. Of course, you're not going to take any execution before the news. Somebody will say, okay, this is my consolidation and this is my consolidation down. Okay, what are they doing? They were news before this move here. So this move, if you took it up and they close you, there's no need to force it. Okay, you need to wait and see what are they doing at the level. For me, I took it here. Why? Because I understood that they gave me a double top, then they came to a closing price. I need to know what are they doing at the closing price. And structure again, up, up, up. They break structure here. Okay, we don't care about the structures on a smaller time frame, but the most important thing, we want to pay close attention to what happens to the level. Okay, I took it here. Why? Because now they came back to the level. They broke structure. They pulled back. Then they gave a very big candle down, which is now broken the level. So if you understand how they are treating the level, you're going to get the best execution. I took this one. It actually went something like 70 to 80. You see, I took this one. Okay, so to the close, it's actually 72. This was the most easiest one. Based on what? Based on how are they treating the levels. Okay, I've just explained this to you. So each and every asset here, let's look at let's look at this one over here. This is USD JPY. What are they doing to the levels? I'm gonna okay, let's say this is the high, right? The red line is the high. Okay, this is the closing price. What are they doing? Yes, in as much as this was a trending day and we are looking for them to pull back and do this, but what are they doing? This time around, they are holding the closing price. They are holding the closing price, and they are literally building a pattern on the closing price, a triangle on the closing price. They break out, pull back, break out. You see, this is now the engulfing candle after retesting what? The closing price. You see, this is going down. Okay, each and every asset, guys, look at how they are treating the closing price. Look at this one. Okay, in as much as we are expecting them to continue, but look at this. All of a sudden they come. Do they go? No, they're not going. They are holding the high. All of a sudden they come down. You see, they come down, then they break to the downside. Okay, they break to the downside all the way to the closing price. They pull back. Now they've broken what? The closing price. So this move is going down. There are certain things you are not supposed to force. So the key important thing here is how or what are they doing to the closing price, to the high or to the low. Okay, what are they doing at these levels? If you are patient enough, let them play at the level and wait for them to leave that level. That's where you're gonna get the best executions. Okay, so I now believe we understood the key levels. And remember, I'm not talking about this is what we enter. No, I just want everybody to understand these little components that I've shared. Why? Because all these components are building up to the strategy. Okay, so I want everybody to understand this. I'm not talking about where to enter, where to do this, where to do this. No, I'm just trying to make everybody understand all the small components, because combined together, they build this, okay? They build this. So now I will share my executions, paying close attention to all of the things I've just spoken about, okay? So guys, right now, I'm gonna go to continuation setup step by step. And just as a reminder, for those who haven't downloaded it, it's this last PDF. It's a continuation strategy. Everything is outlined here. So now, here's the step-by-step guide on the trend continuation strategy, okay? I always give it step by step, okay? So look at this. So the first step is we need a direction, because this is, of course, trend continuation. So we need a direction. That is to say, if a move is going up, we want to take the direction in line with the move, okay? In line with the move, okay? So when it comes to this, there are certain things you must understand, okay? I told you, for a day to qualify, it must break the previous day's level. That's the only way it qualifies to be a trend day. Okay, let's look at, okay, GJ this week didn't give something of that caliber, okay? Something of that caliber. But let's look at this day over here. I want to show you so that you understand, okay? Remember, we spoke about different things, which are different pieces of the puzzle. All together combined, they must formulate what we call the strategy. Okay, first of all, this day made a low. And as you can see, this low is now denoted by this black dotted lines over here, okay? So for this day to be a trend day, it must break this level over here, of which it did break and it trended. So this day actually qualifies to be what? A trend day. This day qualifies to be a trend day, right? So what are we looking for the following day? We are looking for a move that actually pulls back to a key level, okay? So I did speak about different kind of key levels. This low can be a key level, okay? And then again, I spoke about support and resistance. You can see there's a rejection that we got here, okay? And then again, there's a rejection that we got somewhere here, okay? So if you look at this move, it came to this rejection, okay? It surpassed this one. We look carefully to see what is happening every time it gets to a key level. So whenever it came to this key level, what did they do? They surpassed it without actually doing anything. Yes, they reacted a little bit, but they went up. So what do? We observe what's happening at this key level, right? Yes, we observe what's happening on this level. Remember, the main idea now is to go down in line with the overall move, okay? And please keep in mind everything I shared with you, okay? So the next level we're going to pay close attention to is this one. We have this level as well, but the more, if it breaks the high of this day, which is here, the setup is invalidated, right? Yes. So they broke this one, it's fine. We continue sitting on our hands. What happens? They come to this level here. What do? We now pay close attention, okay? We want to see what are they doing at this level. So we can also go to a smaller time frame if a bigger one doesn't show us things in a clear manner. What do we see here? We see now that, okay, in terms of market structure, they made a high, made a low, made a high, made a low, made a high, made a low, made a high. Okay, so now we are expecting them to do what? They come and make a high. We are expecting them to come at least and break this level over here, which is basic market structure. Remember, now we are using all the elements we've learned. We are putting them together. Okay, so in this case here, what do? They make this low. Okay, they make this low. It's a pullback. Why? Because it didn't break this low here. It didn't violate this low over here. Okay, they didn't violate this low over here. But what did they do now? What did they do now? What did they do? We are at an important key level. Okay, so what did they do? They did nothing, but they went back up and they came and broke this level over here. You see, they were news. They came and broke this level over here with news. So we don't chase these candles over here. They are too big to chase. Okay, I'm just trying to explain this in a simple way. Okay, if you're experienced, yes, of course you can get this execution, because I took this one because I understood already what was happening. Okay, I understood already what was happening because we got a half Batman here and then they broke to the downside. But I want to show you the most easiest ones for even those who don't have much of the experience. Okay, remember, this is for learning purpose. Look at this, guys. They made this low, okay, And now what did they do? They pulled back. They pulled back. Now market structure has changed. Remember, we spoke about market structure. What do you expect in this case here? We're expecting to see a move to the downside. So this is where you can add another one. Okay, but look at these 3 candles. Okay, these candles gave us clues. And then again, we use the 21 EMA. Okay, the 21 exponential moving average. This move was already inside. The first entry was inside. The second entry was inside. Okay, I told you can hold and take your profit at the low of this day, or you can hold till the close. But the closest area they're going to reach is this point here. Okay, so this is something I've already shared with you, but this is what we are basically looking for. Okay, we are basically looking for this, So for me, understood, we got a pattern. Okay, we got a pattern, half Batman, which is this over here, this line and this line, because they made a peak, then they started coming into it. But because there were news, we waited for the news. They just went and retested, and then they collapsed down. So of course, again, guys, this is a rectangle. Okay, and market structure also plays a role, and we are at an important key level here. So all those things we learned come together here. Okay, but there's a but. I want you to understand. Remember, we spoke about different time frames, right? Remember, we spoke about different time frames. So this is where I want us to come and look at different time frames, because this knowledge will help avoid counter trades. Because some days you hear me saying, oh, I took oil here and took it for the downside, but it was a trend day and people were expecting it to go up. Why didn't I go down when I told people that if it's a trend day, we are looking for a move up to break this one? Okay, guys, remember what I said. I use the weekly every day. Okay, remember what we said on the weeks. Do you still remember? This week is going down, so the very same thing I'm expecting on a daily. As I said, a trend day, I'm expecting a pullback, then a continuation in line with that move. This is a trend week. Okay, why? Because it broke the low of this. So this is a trend week, and I told you the bigger time frame is going to push the smaller one. Okay, this is a trend week. Okay, this week trended down. Okay, this week trended down. So what are we expecting? We're expecting a pullback, then a continuation, right? Pullback, then a continuation. So if you understand the levels, I told you every week has a high, a low, and a low. Okay, this week had a high here. Okay, we also take market structure into perspective. Okay, so this one had a low here, but these are not the only 2 levels we have. Okay, this week also has an, where did this week close? The following one, this week close. This week had a closing price here. Okay, so if you look at this, they just pulled back to a key level again. This is the closing price of the week before. Okay, which is now a crucial level when we come to this week. Why? Because we are expecting this week to continue down. Remember market structure. When they go down, they make higher lows and lower lows. Okay, so yes, they will pull back and go down, but if they come and break this level, then they broke market structure. Okay, so because this week is still going down, we are indeed expecting a pullback. Okay, why? Because remember what we said, guys. Remember we said when something is going up, it will pull back and continue, pull back and continue. So if this week went up, yes, we are expecting a pullback and a continuation up. Okay, and then again the following week we are expecting a pullback and a continuation up. So this is pure market structure, and it's the same thing we shared. Okay, so this week, yes, in as much as on a 1 hour time frame here, we got a trend day. Yes, it pulled back, continued. Okay, and this one was a trend day. So in as much as we got a trend day over here, but we still have a bigger move on the weekly time frame. And I told you a weekly time frame will push what? Will push the smaller time frame. Okay, the monthly will push the weekly, and the weekly will push the daily, the hourly. Okay, because the hourly is where you see the days. Okay, so with that said, okay, we have the closing price here because this is Sunday night. It opened Sunday night here. Okay, and again it opened with the gap. So what did they do? They gave a trend day here. Okay, but we are careful in this case because the overall move is still down. Yes, we can take it, but we have to be careful. Okay, we have to be careful. Okay, so mostly when it aligns, when the trend day aligns with the weekly, trending week, that's the best execution you'll get, okay? Because this can be a pullback, and we are actually expecting a pullback. So now we have certain key levels. We have the closing price of the week before. We have these key levels now. These are basically supports and resistance, okay? That's where we're gonna get support and resistance, okay? That's not the only level, right? We also have this key level over here, but this one is as close as this one. It's okay. So we can take this one here. We also had a bounce here. So we will be observing to see what happens at each of these levels. As it goes up, it continues up. It comes here, it continues up. It comes here, it continues up. But now, all of a sudden, it comes to the closing price of this week here, okay? But overall, our move is still to the downside, okay? Our move is still to the downside. Yes, we can take this one, it's okay, but we just must be careful, okay? So our move overall is to the downside. Then what do? They come and play over here, okay? They start playing on this level. Actually, they just pin it, okay? If you are analyzing at the end of the day, you would have realized that we are in an important key level, and they just did what? They just pinned it. And then again, let's bring market structure into perspective, okay? This is the closing of the week. Let's bring market structure into perspective. They go, they pull back, okay? They go, they pull back. They go, they pull back. They go, they pull back. They go, they pull back, okay? If they will keep on going up, what are we expecting? We're expecting them to come and break this level over here, okay? Because this is normal market structure, okay? We expect them to come and break this level over here. But all of a sudden, what do they do? They put a high in place here, okay? Which is at a very important key level, okay? And then we have the low here. But all of a sudden, even if we go to a 15-minute time frame, what you'll see now is instead of them going up again, okay, what do they do now? They break structure, okay? They break structure. But even before they broke structure, okay, we could have seen that we are at a key level. What are they doing? Okay, they are not going up high. The high is intact. Now they are not going down. They're not going down. They are playing on the closing price. What do they do at the closing price? First of all, as I say, they gave us these beautiful candles, okay? They gave us these beautiful candles. Remember, I shared this with each and every one of you in this same video, okay? They now gave this beautiful, beautiful candles of which we spoke about. Not only that, okay? They now gave a beautiful triangle. If we are to take this with a different color so that everybody can see, we now can see that, oh, these guys are at a key level, but now they are just giving a pattern. Okay, so now you can see we have a pattern at a key level, okay? First of all, we have this beautiful key level. Of course, we know the move on the weekly is down, but now they are bouncing, and all of a sudden they give us a triangle, okay, with this beautiful candlestick pattern. So we have a chart pattern and a candlestick pattern at a level. Now bring everything we say together. Bring everything we say together. This move is now going down. Hence, I sold this move, okay? It's going down. You can either take it at this candlestick patterns, or you can wait for the chart to break out, and here's the breakout, and take it down, okay? And of course, we know based on the 4-hour time frame, remember we spoke about this, we are just putting everything we spoke about together, okay? Remember, we say that last week was a trend week to the downside. So remember, the first point they're gonna hit is this point over here, and they did and hit it, okay? That's the same principle we've been applying as the move was going down, as the weeks were going down. So now you take time frames into perspective, you take patterns, candlestick patterns, you take levels, all those things we spoke about, you mix them and you apply them here on a daily basis, okay? So that's how I was able to take it here. However, when we look at the pound yen, okay, this was okay, we are on a 4-hour time frame, and on a 4-hour time frame, what you realize is actually this week over here opened and closed high, okay? Then this one opened, closed low, and then the second one opened, closed low, okay? So in other words, it's not as it is on gold and on oil, but look at this. this is now going down. Okay, it's going down. But let's look at the bigger time frame first, because now we spoke about the bigger time frames as well. So when we look at this one here, which is the monthly, of course the monthly is gonna give us areas where we had key levels like resistance and supports. Okay, let's look at this area over here, which was a high made long time ago. Okay, they revisited it. Okay, and now they break back. Okay, doesn't give us much. Let's go to when we look at this one, to avoid important levels, you see, they touched, they came and touched, they came and touched, they came again. So now in this case, the weekly gave you an idea. Yes, they can break down, but we need an idea. Okay, you can see clearly we had on a weekly key resistance here. Okay, which has been happening since 2023. Okay, late 2023. Okay, so if with this knowledge we can come to a daily time frame. Okay, yes, it's not trending, it's not gonna give us the overall trend, but now it will give you the best touches. Okay, yes, this is a touch over here, and then if we are using the bodies. Okay, you see the body, the body. So now we did expect, using this line over here, we did expect some form of reaction here. Okay, and we did get this reaction from a bigger time frame. So when we came to a 4-hourly time frame, already we know that there might be a reaction somewhere here. Okay, this is at a very crucial key level. Sorry guys, this is at a very crucial key level. Okay, and yes, of course, this week has been going down. This week has been going down. Okay, the week has been going down, closes somewhere here. But again, is it going to continue going down? We want to see how they're going to treat this level. We're not just going to jump in. We want to see how they're going to treat this level. And when you look at this week, what do they do? What do they do? We have a low of this week somewhere here, but they start going up. They are from a very important key level, guys. Yes, this week closed down. Okay, there could still be a move down, but we just came from a very important key level. So with a move like this, you must just be careful how you observe it. Okay, however, when we come to an hourly time frame now, okay, this is where now we see, okay, this week opened here and it closed up. We want to see what happens. Okay, paying close attention to the key levels that we have, but mostly I'll just use my Fibonacci. It's an expansion now. I just want to see 50% of the move. What happens at 50%? So yes, we got a trend day. Okay, but we didn't get that beautiful pullback we look for. Of course, yeah, we were at a key level. Okay, we were at a key level, and being at a key level like this, you need to know it's not just a line, it's an area. Okay, because we don't have as many pips here. It's only 30 to 40 pips here. Okay, actually no, it's not 30 to 40. Wait a minute. Yes, it's roughly 30 to 40. You see, it's for, yes, 30 to 40. But with that understanding, you know we are at a key level here. Okay, a long-term support and resistance. What do they do now? They come to the closing price close to this level here, where we are expecting that we might see a reversal. Okay, so what do they do at this level? They give us our beautiful candlestick pattern. Okay, on a smaller time frame, 15-minute time frame. Remember, this is the key, this is their level. Okay, now they give us this. Okay, so for this move to continue down, we want to see if they're going to break this. But now they give us a trend day, but they never pull back. But you could have taken your entry here. It's inside the EMA. Again, market structure wise, it qualifies the moment it broke this high here. Because the moment it breaks this high, we wait for it to go. We want to see a retest, and now we can take it on this bigger candle. Okay, why? Because it's how they are treating the level. Okay, and of course, the fact again is we are at an important level that has been happening for a long time. Okay, even though this week actually closed down. Okay, so they just keep going up. But I also sold this day on a Thursday. Okay, and the reason I sold it is because I just explained to you. I sold because of the key level. Okay, we are at an important key level. We are at an important key level. Okay, we are at an important key level. You see, we still have a support here, but now they are way too far. they are almost going to close or to broke the high. They are almost going to break this high, okay, because already they've trended big. But on this day when I came, what I saw was they gave a pattern at the high of the day, and then they came down, pulled back, and they now broke structure over here. Of course, the structure was broken, and not only this one, I took it here before they break the structure, but this structure was already broken, okay? So I took it on the way down. So guys, unfortunately here we did not get our pullback for a continuation. Even if we got it, it was going to be a good one up, because now it has just bounced on a long-term resistance. I don't know if you understand me, okay? There's just a lot of things you have to put into perspective. There's a lot of things you have to understand, okay? There's a lot of things you have to understand, okay? So this move was the most easiest one going up, because it's coming from this level over here, okay? And from these levels over here, they gave the chart, the candlestick pattern and all things, even though this move was going down. But of course, now we are at a very strong resistance from the last years. And now let's go to gold. I'm not going to talk about entries and stuff right now, okay? I'm not going to talk about entries and stuff. But guys, if you come to gold, you will just see, okay, I spoke about how they're treating the high. But one thing I want you to understand is when you come to the 4 hour, we look at the weekly time frame, okay? I'm not going to explain much things. I just don't want you to keep counter trending, okay? Yes, in as much as we are waiting for a move, for a trend day, then a continuation up, we need to know that it should align with the weekly. And if we are at important key levels, we need to know what are they doing at those important levels, or else you can just sit down, sit out of the market and wait for them to break it so that you can take it the following week, because there's always tomorrow, okay? But if you look at this one over here, this week, okay, this one closed up. Again, same thing. Okay, this week closes up, we are looking for a retest, then a continuation, okay? So it's the same thing. As the week is going up, we are looking for the same thing. Goes up, we are looking for a retest, then we are looking for a continuation. Same thing, retest, then for a continuation. So this is the same thing we are looking for on a daily basis, okay? A retest, continuation, and stuff like that, okay? But we are taking and using the knowledge that we have generated from all the different things that I just shared with you, because all of them are actually important, okay? But here what I usually do is, okay, for this week I just put this expansion. Is an expansion, okay? I shared it with you in the last video how to set it up. But look at this, they come to 50%, okay? If in the following week we can do the same, okay? We take the low of this week and the high of the week, they come to 50%, okay? The pullback comes to 50%, okay? So these are just small things. Now we take this week and we take this week here. Again, if you look at this one, it comes to 50%, okay? And again, if we take this week and take this week over here, the retests come to 50%, okay? So this is something you can see consistently, okay? This is something you can see. This week just goes up, okay? It just goes up. But again, if you take the low of this week, because this week just went up, we need to see where the nearest retest is going to be. So it came to almost 50%, and this was more than 500 pips, okay? So guys, it's all about understanding structure, understanding continuations, okay? The same continuations we look for on a daily basis is the same continuations we look for on a weekly basis, okay? So it's so simple. We need a pullback, continuation. We need a pullback, continuation, pullback, continuation. So we put all these things together, because now if you go to a 1 hour time frame, that's where you're going to see they pull back to 50%, okay? And then all of a sudden, they give us a trend day, okay? All of a sudden, they give us a trend day. But again, you can still get this thing. I just don't want to talk about when they happen this early like this. But again, guys, putting everything we have spoken about, the candlestick, the patterns, because you can still see here, there's a half Batman here. There's a half Batman here. And I've just shared these patterns. They pull back to a 50%, and then they give us a half Batman, okay? The half Batman. They continue up, okay? They continue up, okay? So all we need is we need a trend day, pull back, take it, okay? Things like that. And of course, there'll be days, this is a new week, by the way, they'll pull back and they continue. Trend day, you see, this is a trend day, okay? Now what do we look for? we look for a pullback to a key level. And if you look at the key level here, let's go to 15-minute time frame. I just want to show you this day here. You look for a continuation from here all the way to the upside. You're gonna get it, guys. You're gonna get it. Okay, you see how are they treating the closing price? They're coming, they're bouncing. Now market structure is changing. They go to the upside, you take it. Okay, so you can see most of the time it's gonna give you everything we spoke about, but the most important thing here is we need to take all these things into consideration and understand all these small pieces of a puzzle, build them together, and they will give you this complete strategy, which is step by step. Okay, so as I said, I did explain all the steps step by steps on the playbook, but again, guys, I think I've clarified everything. On the playbook, it's different strategies. Find one that works for you, master it, and become good at it, because I always try to share my strategies step by step. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's one thing. You must be able to take all these things into consideration. So even if you are a beginner, this is enough to help you understand this, and only take your setup when it appears. Find one setup from all the setups I've shared. Find one that works for you, execute it, hunt it always and execute it. Okay, and importantly, understand what happens on the patterns, because some days, of course, you will be expecting something like a continuation, just as I've shared with you here. You'll be expecting a continuation simply because you got a trend day, right? You got a trend day, you're expecting a continuation, but there are certain elements that will help you if they are not giving that continuation, because you can see they're holding, they're actually holding here, they're holding the closing price. That's where they give a very big retest. So these are easy moves you should be getting, but again, you must understand all these things. I know, guys, it sounds complicated, but that's the nature of this industry. There's a lot of things you have to understand if you want to be good in this industry, or else it's just going to be a cycle of learning different strategies for 10 years. You haven't mastered anything. Okay, so find one, understand it pretty well, then execute it. I've shared more than 13 strategies step by step. I always share everything step by step, but this is important information to understand. Every day when you come to your charts, you must know exactly what are you expecting, what is happening here, because they are not always going to give you what you expect. Some days you'll be expecting a continuation up, but they will go down, whereas they did give you a sign that they are going down. Okay, whereas they gave you a sign that they are going down. You didn't even have to stress or actually find it difficult. You was just supposed to take it based on what they are telling you. But this is the most crucial information that you ever need. Okay, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.